PharmaVentures, experts in deals and alliances.
Hello and welcome to PharmaVentures Insights here in Berlin. The IPO window has been exploited in recent years for successful exit by many companies in the pharma and biotech sector. One such market is Euronext, where several companies IPO'd, and joining me on the show today is Sebastian Grabert of Euronext. Sebastian, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So perhaps first we could talk a little bit about Euronext, where the market currently is, how you've been developing over the last 4 or 5 years.
Sure. I mean, I'm kind of proud to say that we've become the #1 stock exchange for life science companies in Europe. We've seen 48 life science IPOs since 2013. Now we count 86 listed life science companies on our 4 venues in Paris, Amsterdam, Brussels and Lisbon.
And what's driven that? I mean, was that a conscious decision to target life science companies for IPO, or is it just happens to be that way?
Sure. I mean, we've identified also in different sectors, not only life science, that there's a consistent financing gap for financing rounds between 20 and 80 million euros. And we see ourselves as a mean and as a platform to solve that financing gap by providing liquidity, providing equity for these kind of growth companies, also with a very risky business model.
And so you said 20 to 80 million, is that the typical sort of level that the companies that are IPOing are managing to raise?
Yeah, exactly. That's a typical, C or D finance round, depending on the previous rounds the companies had. But this is the size we normally see between 20 and 80 million.
And is there anything that characterizes these companies? Are they clinical stage? Are they near to market? Are they more device companies or therapeutics?
Yeah. So what we see in biotech is that the companies typically come to us when they have almost completed the phase 2 and they would like to finance the phase 3 through the IPO proceeds. In medtech, we see the companies who have CE certification and they would like to use the proceeds from the IPO to commercialize the product in Europe and as well as in the US.
And are these companies choosing the IPO route rather than a trade sale because it's an easier route, or because it's actually a more attractive route?
Yeah. No, admittedly, the trade sale is maybe our biggest competitor, I have to say. But still, the IPO is a huge milestone in the company history. And we believe that we offer both VCs, on the one hand, a very efficient exit route for their existing portfolio companies, on the one hand, and we offer the portfolio companies, i.e. the life science companies, a very efficient mean to actually finance themselves further on the capital markets. Because once you're listed, you can obviously tap the market once you need it.
And exactly. And how are these companies that choose to IPO on Euronext, how are they doing? Has it been successful for them? You've got 48. Have you got 48 successes?
Well, that's a good question. Not all of them can be successful,
sure,
as you know, and you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, so you obviously have to diversify. We've created a biotech index a couple of years ago, and actually the performance of this biotech index since 2012 is quite similar to the small mid-cap index in France of the companies from small mid-cap space, and significantly better than the large cap indices. So what I'm trying to say is that the alpha you can potentially generate through these investments is similar to the small and mid-cap segments.
And could you put some numbers on that? Is that possible? Or?
Sure. So since 2012, the index created a performance of 125%, and that compares roughly to a large cap index of 60 to 70%.
So clearly, that is a success and a good outcome.
It is a success, but again, you have to own obviously a significant number of these life science companies,
of course,
to generate this kind of performance.
What of the future? So the IPO window has been great. Lots of companies listing on Euronext and elsewhere. I'm asking you the crystal ball question. Is it going to continue, or is it going to change? What do you think?
Well, last year, for instance, we haven't seen the same momentum as we've seen in 2014 and 15. And at the beginning of the year, we have actually seen 2 IPOs in life science in France in February. And we were quite confident that it's going to be continue, but the market proved us wrong. So we have had quite periods, I would say, in Q2 and especially beginning of Q3, But then in the second half of October, we've seen two nice IPOs from BioMUp and from Euronext, both in Paris. They raised 60 million euros in equity. And in terms of the pipeline, from what I actually can comment on, we're quite confident, not only obviously from the existing 4 countries we are currently in, so France, Belgium, the Netherlands and Portugal, but also from the countries we expanded to. This is Germany, Spain, Italy and Switzerland, where we've opened offices beginning of this year. So for Germany, for instance, and for the German community, we aim to have a double-digit number of IPOs accumulated until 2019, of which I believe a good portion will come from the life science sector.
Right, so the key message there is the IPO window is still there are companies still listing, and they're generating good liquidity by listing on Euronext.
Yeah, I would agree.
So we'll look forward to hearing about more successes next year and the years beyond.
Perfect.
Sebastian, many thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
For more information about PharmaVentures, visit our website